Hey, it's Aspie, and today we're going to talk about subtle differences between digital art and traditional art. The reason I wanted to talk to you about this is because when I was beginning in digital art, I had a lot of problems trying to carry over my skills with traditional art and digital art. It might just be me and my specific style and all the weaknesses it has and strengths, but I just wanted to let other people know to make it way easier for them to transition. I mostly wanted to do this by just telling you the different things I experienced and some subtle or small solutions that I had about it. So, yeah, let's get started. Number one, it's the differences in drawing area for tablets and paper. So, traditionally, when you draw on paper, you just have a pen or a pencil, or whatever one you prefer, and a drawing surface like a sketch pad, a sketchbook, whatever you call them. And you don't have to worry about zooming in or making sure anything is aligned. But in digital art, there's like seas of different drawing tablet sizes and like models and different monitor sizes, pen sensitivities, and different types of friction on the tablet. And there's so many different software configurations for your uh, drawing windows and your art programs. It's kind of daunting at first, but I realized over time that a lot of it doesn't matter. It's kind of useful to have your drawing software in a lot of or in the default settings most of the time, and the only things that I kind of ever touch are like the shortcut settings. But over time, I think it's better to get your own custom keybinds and specific settings like shortcuts, sensitivities, and your specific line stabilization settings. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, for digital art, you have to make sure the drawing tablet is parallel to the screen, because if it's not, then you're gonna get a bad habit of not having correct hand to eye coordination, and that's not really good, as you could tell. Number two, I think I was also really shocked by how kind of different the grip has to be for digital art and traditional art, because with the drawing tablet, usually it's kind of better to hold it perpendicular to the drawing surface. There's a pretty decent chunk of leeway, but with traditional art, there's no limitation. You could draw on the front of the paper and the back of the paper, and with your pencil, 90 degrees or like 2 degrees if you really want. I noticed in digital art, I feel like my hands hurt a lot more, but I think there's different grip styles that you could use, like leaving your index finger not not on the pencil and in the air. I think a lot of people and animators in the industry actually do this, so it's pretty useful. Um, yeah, that was a small one. I don't wanna. Yeah. Number three, ink and graphite sensitivity versus digital sensitivity. So on paper, you could use pencils and pens in very light and subtle ways. For example, with ballpoint pens, you can use their corners to have more dry marks and like lines and different variations, and it's very easy to add texture, good texture, if I may say so. And with pencil, you could use different sizes of graphite to make lines varied in weight and quality. Whenever I have a pencil, I like to use the sharp part for clean line art and nice adding interest. And for the dull part of my graphite, I prefer using that for shadows and filling in things that take me a long ass time to do. So obviously, with digital art, you could just increase this brush size and have different brushes that are cool. But I feel I like the limitations that my pencil gives me, and it forces me to be pretty much creative. So through drawing tablets, there are a lot of different tools you could use. Like I'm saying, pressure sensitivity size, different brushes, blending, brush directions, and tilting even. But a lot of times the cheaper tablets don't support tilting and those different things. So, but you could still create a large array of different textures and do different things with them. Another part that I think is kind of jarring is how in digital art tablets you have to kind of keep your pencil and uh, what's it called? One thing I find jarring is that you have to find your pen jarring. Fuck. One thing that I find jarring is that you have to find your. One thing that I find weird and jarring is that you have to find. In the past, when I was first starting out, one thing that I found weird and jarring was that you had to keep your pen flowing in pretty much at all times with digital art, because if you don't have your pen pressing to a certain amount, it will either not register or consider your movement as a right click on your mouse or whatever that setting is on your options in your driver. And I kind of found that annoying because my art style heavily depends on small lines and subtle marks over time that add up. So it was kind of weird at first. I think with higher end tablets, it's not as big of a deal. And I'm pretty sure there's settings you could customize just to have it not activate in your pen when you right click or don't move fast enough. So yeah. Um, One small thing that I remember happening to me is that the pen that I held, there's giant buttons on it, so it kind of messed me up a lot, and it was harder to move it around because my big fat thumbs kept pressing it. It was kind of funny, but yeah, I should just tape my pen to my hand or something. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was probably the part that was put off the most, even though it's kind of small. Literally, it's pretty small, but it's the dent you make on paper while drawing with pens and pencils. So I always had kind of a hard hand, and I kind of pressed really hard on my drawing utensils. And what that did for me is it created an indent wherever I drew, which made it easier for me to draw over the same line to darken it. And on digital art, you don't have that because it's just a digital pixel perfection. You don't notice this on paper because you just draw over it with ink or pencil. But if you just turn to the next page, you could see that, oh, I'm assuming you didn't use a protector or anything. You could see that there's imprints wherever you drew. And that's why you got to put like a piece of another paper or something. What I was going to talk to you about earlier about line stabilization is that there are tools in drawing softwares like Krita, Photoshop, Clip Studio, etc. that stabilize your lines for you, so you don't have to actually get shaky line art. And it's really, really useful. People may think that it's cheating, but I think it's just part of the medium, and you should get used to it because there's literally no reason you shouldn't use it. It's just people being mad that they're bad. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you learned something new or had something to help you transition into your new medium or whatever. But yeah, late.